Imam Zaid Shakir posts this on his Facebook page. It's a quote from a longer podcast that he did. And he says, as Muslims, we recognize the right of LGBT people to do what they want to do. But that doesn't mean I'm waving the rainbow flag and advocating for that. So I have the whole podcast interview. Why did Imam Zaid choose to highlight that specific quote to his 1 million followers? Think about that. I criticized Imam Zaid for this post. Zaid Shakir joins the ranks of Omar Suleiman, Linda Sarsour, Jonathan Brown, and Yasser Holes in the narrative Qadi. They're the champions of Qawm Lut rights for the American Muslim community. Do you think that the Prophet Lut a.s. supported the right of Qawm Lut to do their actions, to do what they want to do? But he just wanted them to know that their actions are technically haram? So the point is that it's not just enough to say that Qawm Lut's actions are haram and then turn around and say, we acknowledge their rights, we recognize their rights, and we confirm their rights, we support their rights, we affirm their rights, as many of these imams have said. Now, we could chalk this up to poor wording from the imam, though still, why did he choose to highlight his statement in a post? It's not like we went and dug up a quote from him and took it out of context. If it's out of context, Imam Zaid is the one who took it out of context. And again, ask yourself why. Why is he highlighting this? What is he trying to signal to his followers? So maybe this was a slip of the tongue, but then you have to interpret things in actual context. And the actual context is that Imam Zaid is working very closely with a lot of these activists, these pro-LGBT rights activists. He's even honoring them as champions of justice. Why would a traditional imam associate with such people and work with them time and time again? Why would Imam Zaid give his endorsement to such people who have done so much damage to the iman and the understanding of Muslims in the Muslim community? This is really inexcusable behavior that we have been criticizing very consistently. So Imam Zaid's statement should be understood in that context, not some bizarre interpretation that his friends have offered. So now Imam Zaid's friends are clutching their pearls and blasting me and saying all kinds of nonsense and sometimes outright lies, like I don't know Arabic, I haven't studied Nahu wa Sarf, and I haven't studied the Islamic sciences, that I don't respect ulama. They know what they're doing. They know that they're making outright lies against me to defend their friends. One of these friends of Imam Zaid even made an hour-long video refutation.
In this context, we see a very sad case of what has happened, that Imam Zaid rahimahullah ta'ala, he was quoted by a person who, at this point, I don't think there's any, a person who is intelligent is not going to have any trouble finding out who I'm talking about.
I thought one part of it was really funny for many reasons, but let's take a look.
This leads to another important point, which is what? There's an obligation in Islam to revere the ulama. We have over here a copy, actually several copies of the different commentaries on the Aqidah Tahawiyah. This is one of the best editions, the Sharh of Qari Tayyib, one of Sheikh Amin's and probably the preeminent amongst Sheikh Amin's teachers. He mentions that the people of knowledge from our righteous forebears, those who came before us, and then those who followed them, and those who came after them, from the people of goodness and the people of athar, the people who stayed on the path of the mashayikh that they came with from before, the people who know fiqh, meaning understanding of the deen, and nadar, the people of deep analysis. They're not to be mentioned except for in a beautiful way, and whoever mentions them in an ugly way, that person is not on the path that we're on. And this is, this is basic aqidah, that those people, mashallah, they carry their ijazat from the mashayikh from before. So if you want to go after Sheikh Nuh, ask the people who studied from his teachers, even if his teachers are no longer with us anymore. Not Sheikh Nuh, afwan, Imam Zaid. Sheikh Nuh is one of them. Ask them, is this person promoting LGBTQ by this statement? Ask them. Ask the other people of similar ijazat.
We have now generations here. This is their land, this is their culture, this is their language. And so we need scholars who are not only conversant in the religion, but also conversant in the cultural currents and the intellectual currents that are shaping our society, so that our religious scholars can address issues of relevance in the language and at a level that's required for their voice to be meaningful and to contribute to the overall discourse surrounding religious, social, cultural events here in this country.
Right. Okay. So
I'll give you an
go ahead.
example. How many really high-level scholars come from overseas? I mean, PhDs, and then studied 20, 30 years with the highest mashayikh in their land. And we have them here.
Yeah, it's a handful.
And they're, let's say even if there were more than a handful, they're absolutely irrelevant in terms of affecting popular, social, cultural, political, religious discourse here in this country. Irrelevant.
Yeah, for sure.
MashaAllah, such reverence for ulama, such reverence for scholarship. These irrelevant scholars with PhDs, they've studied under the highest mashayikh, they're irrelevant. They're not going to produce any kind of religious discourse that any Muslim in the West should care about.
And this is, this is basic aqidah.
So we need people that attain a high level here, but also are studying and growing and understanding with the generation they're going to be serving. And so they know, like, this is acceptable urf. So we shouldn't be beating our young people up because, they're dressed like you're dressed. Or just modestly, a little looser, so the biceps aren't as
I'm
visible.
sorry.
But there's nothing. We should have Western dress, but it conforms to our Islamic standards of modesty. So you don't necessarily, and probably shouldn't. It would be inappropriate for you to be running around in your daily life in a jalabiya or in a thobe or a shawwal khamis or some other, or Kurdish baggy pants with a big wide waist wrapper.
But if I do wear that, do I get barakah, Sheikh? Do I get some sort of hasanat?
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Not at all?
Unfortunately.
Even if I wear the kufi and the
you
turban?
might on ceremonial occasions or occasionally for Eid wear the dress of whatever your parents' land is. There's nothing wrong with that. But in terms of what should be the norm for us and what should we find condemnable, we have to be very keen to understanding what's going on.
So what does this friend of Imam Zaid have to say now? Are we misinterpreting Zaid Shakir's statement? Fact of the matter is, Imam Zaid and the whole dawa, compassionate imam industry has been pushing this line of homegrown scholars only. Scholars from overseas are irrelevant. We need to insource our scholarship, not outsource our scholarship, completely disregard the statements of scholars overseas that disagree with our American Islam, those scholars are out of touch. They don't understand the culture. They are not relevant. They cannot produce religious discourse. These people are playing a con game with the Muslim community. The only scholarship that they revere and respect is the scholarship that agrees with their liberalizing project. Their pro-feminist, pro-liberal, pro-Me Too project. Anything that disagrees with that project, with those ideologies, is out of touch, is irrelevant, as Imam Zaid so eloquently put it. And then when anyone calls them out for their inconsistency, they rally together to smear those critics as not understanding Islam like we understand it, and not respecting the traditional ulama, and not studying nahu and sarf. These people are charlatans. The only scholarship that they agree with is the scholarship that endorses their American Islam project. This is why they're the dawa mafia. It's just the same group that's constantly supporting each other and promoting each other, trying to monopolize religious authority in the Muslim community. And anytime anyone challenges that authority because of the ridiculous associations, the ridiculous statements, the completely anti-Islamic stances that contravene all known madhahib and all known schools of aqidah, then they have a hissy fit about it and mob together to dogpile any critic. But people are waking up to these bullying tactics. Every day it becomes more transparent.
And this is, this is basic aqidah.
I think it's fitting to end this video with the last part of the dua from Al-Aqidah al-Tahawiyya, the same text that the Red Kufi guy is supposedly an expert in, and the same text he quoted from earlier about revering scholars.
ونسأل الله تعالى أن يثبتنا على الإيمان ويختم لنا به ويعصمنا من الأهواء المختلفة والآراء المتفرقة والمذاهب الردية مثل المشبهة والمعتزلة والجهمية والجبرية والقدرية وغيرهم من الذين خالفوا السنة والجماعة وحالفوا الضلالة ونحن منهم براء وهم عندنا ضلال وأردياء وبالله العصمة والتوفيق.
So-called American Islam that Imam Zaid and his friends promote is the exact description of what Imam Tahawi is seeking refuge in Allah from. The people of conflicting desires with opposing opinions, terrible ideas and ideologies, the allies of deviance. We are free of them. We do not associate with them, let alone promote them. We consider them deviant and awful. That's the religion of Islam, not what charlatans perform for the trusting Muslim community. Allah protect us.